In 2004, I wrote an article titled "The Other F Word: How Failure is the Key to Your Success." And I sent this article to a magazine here in Australia called Nature and Health, which at the time was the leading health and wellness magazine in the country. I received a call from the editor who informed me that they would not be accepting the article. And of course, I was very disappointed at hearing this news. But then the editor went on to say, "We have had our columnist here at the magazine recently resign, and we now have an opening for a columnist for the magazine. Is that something that you would be interested in?" To which I replied, yes. I had just returned from Los Angeles, where I had kind of got my break in writing, and I came back to Australia wanting to break into the publishing industry, and I had been freelance writing. So this was the dream opportunity. And it all came because I wrote an article on failure, which got rejected, which led to becoming a regular columnist with this magazine for the next 8 years. And this column that I wrote every couple of months for the magazine led to all of these other opportunities. And I wanted to share this, and I wanted to go into the relationship between failure and success and looking at the etymology to understand what these states are and how we experience them in our reality, because we are all going to have times where we feel like a failure, we feel like we don't know what we're doing, none of this works, this is all bullshit. And of course, we are going to have those times where it's like, oh my God, I really am the infinite I am of my reality, and my reality is my loyal and faithful servant, and it's reflecting back my I am commands. And I myself have both of those experiences, and I wanted to share this because just recently I was definitely having the experience of feeling like a failure because of a certain situation in my reality, and there's a simple solution to it. My name is Hedley, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. You are in the right place. I am a law of assumption coach, and my whole purpose for being here is to remind you of your infinite I am nature so that you can be more in command of that which you are observing in your reality from that beautiful infinite position of I am. So if you'd like to know more about me or my offerings, including coaching, my self-concept course, and my book, I Am Money, please do go to the links below this video or to my website, youaretheone.com.au. And if I could ask you for a simple favor, if you are enjoying my videos and you're finding them useful, to please press that subscribe button on your screen now. That would be very much appreciated. So this video is inspired from a recent failure funk that I found myself in because of the realization that my home story is a manifestation of the past, basically. History repeating itself, which it has to because I wasn't aware of it. And now I am aware of it. And in that awareness, there can be some sense of disheartening, this sense of, oh my God, I can't believe I've done it again. And how did I not see that? And oh my God, I don't want to be dealing with this. All of those things that can be very disheartening in that moment. And that has been the case here with my home story, as it becomes very clear that I am just repeating the past. However, it is changing and shifting because of the work that I'm doing with it, and I will share that with you so that if this is something that you find yourself repeating in your own home story, you can be free of this once and for all. So I will save that story, but what is happening with my home story did trigger up this feeling of failure in me, that I feel like I failed because I've repeated the story of the past that I just wasn't aware of. And what happens when that failure story gets triggered, it's like putting a pair of glasses on and then you're looking out at reality and you're like, oh, see, I am a failure, this is fucked, blah, blah, blah. And that's where it becomes very interesting, where you start to see your reality through the lens of failure. And I want to give you an example of this, because here in my office, next to me right here, I have a shelf. And on my shelf, I have all the books that I have published over the years. And I've published about 7, I think, 8 maybe. Anyway, my dream was always to be an author. But at that time, I was a columnist, and I was used to writing these short, sharp articles, and I had the belief that I was a columnist and that's all I was, and that I didn't have the discipline or the commitment to write a book. So I set off on that adventure to write my first book, and that took me 3 years. It was incredibly difficult. I self-published because I didn't have the guts to go to a publisher and get rejected, so I just bypassed that whole process and self-published. This is back in 2012, before self-publishing is what it is today. It was a lot harder back then. And then I went on to write my next book and then my next book, and they just got easier as I went on because by then I was an author. And I can look at the books that I've written, knowing everything that I invested into writing that book and everything that I had to overcome within myself to write those books, because I was coming from this belief that I didn't have it in me to write a book and I could never be a published author, and being an author was for other people, not me. I can look at those books and I can see them, all of them, as a success, because of what it took me to write those books and to keep showing up. It takes a lot, and I'm extremely proud of myself for everything that I have achieved in my writing career. And then the other day, I was sitting in my office in my failure funk, and I looked over at my books and I saw them through a completely different lens. Same books, but now I had my failure funk glasses on. They were not funky, by the way. And I was looking at my books, and this time I didn't see all of the things that I overcame to publish those books. Instead, I saw failure, and I saw years of my life gone into these books, which, maybe a few thousand people read. And I saw the money I lost on some of those books, in particular the self-published ones. And then I saw the publishing contract that was 90-10 in my publisher's favor, meaning my publishers got 90% of the profits and I got 10% of the profits. And then I saw the advance that I had to pay back to the publisher because I didn't sell enough of that particular book to cover the advance that they had given me. And all of a sudden, I just saw all of this evidence that told me my books were failures. Same books that a couple of weeks ago I could look at and go, wow, isn't that amazing? I've written all of these books and think of everything that I had to overcome, and that's incredible, and I'm so proud of myself, into look at these books and look at all this money that I've lost, and look at all these people that never read them and just, now they've gone into the ether. And that's what failure is. Failure is the story that we are telling about something. Failure can only be experienced through the observer. So everything in reality contains the positive and the negative. So my books contain both the positive and the negative, as does everything and everyone in reality. Everything that we are observing and everyone we are observing contains a positive and negative charge. And the one observing them is the one who decides which side of the coin we're going to land on, which is going to determine how we are going to experience that thing or person out there. It doesn't come from out there. It doesn't come from my books. My books are just sitting innocently over on the shelf, just sitting there, just being books. And one day I'm looking at them and I'm commanding success from them. And then another day I'm looking at them and I'm commanding failure. They're the same books. They haven't moved from the shelf. There's nothing going on. They're just sitting there. But I'm the one who is determining the state that I'm entering into as I'm observing them. And I have evidence on both sides of the coin. I've got evidence to support the success story and I've got evidence to support the failure story. There are actually two stories that are both true. And depending on which one I'm focused on is going to produce the state within me. That's going to produce the experience that I have when I turn and look over at my books. And right now I'm looking over at my books and I'm seeing success, because most of the time I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, wow, isn't that amazing? Look what I achieved. So most of the time I am seeing it through that lens. But my God, when I put those failure glasses on, holy moly, it's a different experience and it's just as real and it feels awful. But it's important to recognize that there is another side of the coin and it is just as real. Remember, it is up to the observer, the one observing the thing or person in your reality, that determines your experience of it. And you can be on the side of success or you can be on the side of failure. You can be on the side of the positive or you can be on the side of the negative. You will have evidence to support both if you know where to look. Wherever you look, you're going to find what it is that you're looking for. Now, there is a surprising hint in failure. that we are going to look at now because it's in the etymology. So first of all, we are going to look up the etymology of success. Etymology is the study of language, in particular where words originate. And the reason that this is important is because the language we are using to create our realities contains consciousness, and a lot of the times we're using words that contains consciousness, directing us into states that we don't necessarily want to be in. So when it comes to success, 1530s, result, outcome, termination of an affair. Now from Latin, an advance, a coming up, a good result, a happy outcome. From the noun, use of past participle, come after, follow after, go near to, come under, take the place of, go from under, mount up, ascend. We're going to come back to that because success essentially means to come after. After what? We're going to find out. Let's have a look at failure. 1640s, a failing or deficiency. Be lacking or not succeed. Now, if we look at fail, it comes from fail, to be unsuccessful in accomplishing a purpose. Also, cease to exist or to function, come to an end. So we have come to assume that failure equals unsuccessful, and it does. It also means cease to exist, and we're going to come back to that. But what does unsuccessful mean? Unsuccessful means not successful because un is a prefix of negation, in other words, means not. So un means not. So unsuccessful is not successful. And now we have to understand what the word not is. So not is a negative particle, a word expressing negation, denial, refusal, or prohibition. So to be unsuccessful equals to be not successful, which means we are negating, denying, refusing, or prohibiting the state of success. And we do that in awareness. So the opposite of success is not failure. It is unsuccessful. The opposite of success is unsuccessful. When we are unsuccessful at something, it simply means that we are out of the awareness of the state of success. We're negating success, we're denying success, we're refusing success, we're prohibiting success. Failure is where we no longer exist. Now, where we cease to exist in our experiences in reality is with awareness. When I'm talking about my books, when I'm in success with my books, that is an internal state, meaning I had a belief that I couldn't be an author, and I wrote these books and I published them, which proved to me that I did have it within me to become an author. So it's within myself. So that success of my books is coming from within. When I experience the failure of my books, that failure is founded on reality, meaning I didn't receive as much money as I would have liked, not as many people read my book, so now I'm looking to reality for my success, and of course it's not there. Now in that looking to reality for my success, I cease to exist because my awareness is now on reality, which is at the level of third person. So I am doesn't exist. I'm so focused on the external. I'm focused on the contract, I'm focused on my publishers, I'm focused on money, I'm focused on how many people are reading it, and I'm comparing myself to other authors who are best-selling authors, etc., etc. It just goes on. Where you are experiencing failure, you have forgotten yourself, and you are now looking to reality to validate your success. And of course, it never will. But remember, failure equals unsuccessful, and unsuccessful means not successful, which means in that moment, you are negating, refusing, prohibiting, denying your success by placing your awareness on reality instead of I am. As long as you are looking to reality to validate your success, you are going to find failure, because there is always going to be somebody out there who has more, which means you are going to be in lack. You are going to find yourself in lack. When you are looking to reality, you have forgotten yourself, and there is a ceasing of existence. Your awareness has completely forgotten yourself. Now, let's come back to the etymology of success, which means to come after. You have to choose success in consciousness first before that can be experienced within self. So if I turn and I look at my books are neutral, they're just books on a shelf. The feeling of success comes after I have decided which side of the coin I'm going to focus on. So if I'm choosing to see these books as a reflection of the version of myself that I had to become in order to write and publish them, then I am now in the experience of success. But it came after me deciding how I'm choosing to observe them. Success comes after the observer. The observer is I am. You, as your physical embodiment, are the container for I am. You are the one who decides whether you are successful or unsuccessful. It doesn't come from reality. It comes after the observer. The observer is you. The observer is I am. You are the infinite I am. So choose the side of success. Failure will always be there, and failure needs to be there so that you can have the experience of success. And they're both true. As we all know, when we fall into those states of failure and we've got evidence of it, oh my God, it feels so real. It's awful. I know, I've just been there recently. It just doesn't feel good. But that is your alert system to tell you that you have forgotten who you are. You are ceasing to exist within your own awareness. So just come back to the one who is the commander of your experience, which is I am, and then choose from there. I am successful, and I'm choosing to see that as successful. Now that I'm choosing to see that as successful, now the evidence can present itself that is going to support your choice. So if you are in the state of failure or feeling like you are failing at something, just remember that that is a choice, and that is a result of where you are placing your awareness. Your awareness is I am. So come back to it. Come back to yourself. Remember who you are. And then choose to look at it differently. And as you choose to look at it differently, it, whatever it is, will reflect itself back differently. Choose success. You are infinitely successful always. Everything in your reality is a success. And if it's not in your reality yet, it's just not in your reality yet. But if it's in consciousness, if you're aware of it, reality is your loyal and faithful servant as long as you can remain aware of it. So stay aware. Remember I am. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.